Hey guys, today I am making sourdough whole wheat bread with freshly milled whole wheat. This is with a very large amount of sourdough starter to help the wheat bread be nice, light, and fluffy. Okay, so we're starting with 1.5 cups of sourdough starter. This is quite a large amount for one loaf of bread. But because we're using all wheat, ground wheat in this recipe, we're going to use a lot of starter to help. And instead of adding white flour to this recipe, this is where we'll get the white flour. So 1.5 cups of sourdough starter, and then we're going to do 1.5 cups of water. Okay, I just added the water. Now we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 2 tablespoons of honey. So there's the 2 tablespoons of honey, and there is 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 1 tablespoon of oil. Just looks a little bit milky. There's still some chunks of that sourdough starter, but it will get incorporated in after we add the flour. And then you see the glistening of the oil in there. Now we're going to add 3 cups of freshly milled whole wheat. I have a whole wheat grinder, and when you do it fresh, you get most of the nutrients, but if you grind it and then wait months or weeks, the more you wait, the less nutrients are in it. It is more rich with nutrients if you do it right after you grind it. So I'm going to add 3 cups straight with no flour, white flour, but just whole wheat flour that I have ground myself, and mix that together. There you go. That's the 3 cups of ground whole wheat. Just stir it until all the flour is incorporated and has absorbed the water. All right, I'm going to show you the texture of this. It's very wet. It's very, very wet, but it's going to develop some gluten and get some structure as we do a couple sets of stretch and folds today. So I'm going to cover this with a wet cloth and wait 30 minutes and do my first stretch and folds, and then do that again. And I'll see where the structure's at, and I might add 2 more stretch and folds, sets of them, or not, just depending on the structure. But it's very, very wet. That's one of the keys to whole wheat bread, is it's going to be, you want more of this moisture. So we'll see you in about 30 minutes for the stretch and folds. Okay, this is covered with a wet cloth, and we'll wait 30 minutes. See ya shortly. Okay, cuties, here we're gonna take this off now. This beautiful wheat sourdough sandwich bread loaf that we're going to be making. I'm going to do some stretch and folds. So I'm going to just reach over. Again, I'm doing this with one hand and just pull up. You can see how it doesn't have too much of a structure to it yet, because it could just literally just break in my hand. Like it could just rip off in my hand, but I'm going to start developing it with some of these stretch and folds. See how that even ripped a little bit there? Just feels so much different than when you're working with white flour, all-purpose. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little structure here. See that? It's tightening it. It sure does feel different than when you're working with, bread flour or all-purpose flour. There's some chunks of honey because my honey, it was like a creamed honey, but it'll work its way in as we do these stretch and folds. Okay, that's enough. God, I can already feel a little bit of a difference here. And then I'm going to let this sit for 30 more minutes and do the same thing again, and I might do it up to 4 times. It'll just go based on how it starts to fill. And just remember to always cover it either with a plastic wrap or a moist or wet towel, or it will dry up off on the top and it will prevent it from really raising and growing the way it needs to. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. You can see it has a little more structure to it. I can feel it. It doesn't feel like it's gonna rip as much. All right, here's the third stretch and folds. Wow, yeah, I can feel such a difference. It's getting some more structure to it. It definitely still feels different than if you're doing white flour. It's not quite as elastic, but definitely getting some structure. And I can totally see why some more stretch and folds would really help with this. And interesting, remember how wet the dough was in the beginning? That's what I find with wheat. It keeps absorbing that water. And see how it's not nearly as wet filling. I'm gonna do one more of these. And cover again. And one more set of stretch and folds. All right, here's the last one. Looks really good. See how it feels. Feels fantastic. Just gonna whip through this. And now I'm gonna let it raise for at least 6 hours. Until this is doubled in size. So it should be up to about here. Okay. Okay, it's been about 6 hours and it has risen very nicely. It's now ready for us to shape it and put it in the sandwich loaf. All right, so it's a sticky dough. And you can use flour to shape this if you want to, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to spread this out and then roll it up. Sandwich loaf, you don't need to shape it a ton. Just get it in that loaf shape. So spray the bread pan really liberally or butter it. And then just lift this up and plop it in. All right. I'm gonna let this raise until it's coming up above this pan. So this is gonna be a tall loaf, hopefully is what we want, so that we get a nice rise and it's nice and fluffy. So now I'm gonna let it raise for about, we're gonna see, it takes between an hour to 3 hours for this to raise up. Remember to cover with a damp cloth. Okay, a couple hours and it's just about right where I want it. So it's coming up above this and you can see those beautiful holes in there. All right, so I'm preheating the oven to 425. I'm gonna cook this for 40 minutes. In the oven here for 40 minutes on 425. It's been 40 minutes. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay, I'm gonna pull that baby out. How high it will come above the pan with this particular recipe. All right, I'm gonna pull it right out and put it on a cooling rack. Just gonna run a little teeny bit of butter across the top of this. And then I would recommend taking at least a half an hour before you cut into this, or longer, because it continues to cook. Yum, yum. All right, my husband wants to cut into it because it smells so dang good. It's been about 30 minutes. So here we go. You can still kind of see the steam come off. It smells delicious. Let's have him come take a bite of this. I said, you want some butter on it? And he said, heck yeah. So it's still warm, so the butter is melting. All yours. Take a bite. It's really warm still.
It's been smelling
it smells
good
so
for
good,
the
huh?
last hour.
Yeah. That's whole wheat.
Wow. So good.
I'm so glad you like it. Yay! I really hope you make this recipe. It's so delicious. And remember, all things done with love.